Hello and welcome back to another episode of Sacred Games Daily. I am here with my boy Joe Smalley. How you doing, Joe?
Doing well, mate. How are you?
I'm doing really great. I just mowed the lawn. I'm here with some great gaming news, hanging out with my buddy Joe.
There we go, baby.
I just got my, if you're watching the video, you'll see these. I got these in the mail, my Steelbook series of
Dude, they look super nice.
Yeah, Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the TV series.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
they came in.
That's fucking badass. Is that 4K Blu-ray?
4K, yeah.
Oh,
I also have Mando Season 1 and 2, so all I'm waiting for now is still need Ahsoka, Mando Season 3, and Boba Fett. They haven't made those yet.
Hell yeah. Dude, I've only ever streamed those things, so it's always I don't have any physical.
Well, they only started releasing physical media for these in the last year.
Really?
So, yeah, so I thought it was kind of cool to get those,
Yeah,
so I got those in. So we got a few interesting news pieces today. We got together because there was a really awesome Starfield update that dropped. It's going to be the primary meat of this episode. But there's a couple other things trickled in there that we thought were interesting as well. So we'll get right into it. This first article comes from Eurogamer. Escape from Tarkov apologizes for PvE mode misstep, saying it did not foresee such a reaction. Escape from Tarkov developer Battlestate has released a second statement after it U-turned on a decision to lock an exclusive PvE mode to its, I think I've heard American, $250 edition, pretty much. Following player feedback saying it is very sorry that fans in the game community in general are experiencing these feelings. In the statement posted to Reddit, COO Nikita Boyanov said that they somehow did not foresee such a reaction and has now decided to just open the controversial PvE mode for EOD owners for free. So I'm just pass this over to Joe because Joe has played this more than any game in his life. He knows this game forward and backward.
3,000 hours.
Very much how many hours?
3,000.
Holy crap, dude. That's some World of Warcraft life and type shit right there.
Yeah.
What I think I know about this game is that it's a multiplayer only extraction game, right?
Yes, you can play single player matches and stuff. I mean, we'll get into the nuance of what this actually entails, but yeah.
But it's mostly people primarily go to it for multiplayer, right?
Yeah. It's
extraction game. It's very popular. I think it's a big reason of why we've seen extraction shooters kind of blow up. That's Bungie's doing that with Marathon now. But basically they were going to do a PvE, player versus environment. Some of you might just like to call that a campaign or something like that. They're going to release a mode like that for the game for $250. So explain to me, Joe, what the thinking here was. Is there an angle where it would have been normal to pay this much for this? For me on the outside, I don't really understand this. So take it away.
So Escape from Tarkov is a game all about loot, right? And it has an in-game kind of... Rune Escape did, it kind of has a grand exchange thing going on, and it has everything you pick up in the game is based around loot, and obviously that loot can dictate kind of the flow of the game, the meta of the game, kind of where people stand, and when, for instance, every so often the game wipes, right? And it wipes all the progress, normally connected with a big update that brings in a new map or whatever. And when that happens, it's kind of a rush. Everyone's racing to get to the furthest they can so they can kind of curb stomp people lower than them. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's all based around gear, right? Gear levels and stuff like that. Better guns, etc., etc. And with this comes, with the base game, there's also different, obviously, tiers of games you can buy. So you can have the base game at £40 or whatever, €40, and then you can go up, and there's one above that, and then there's the highest point is, or was the highest point was a bundle called Edge of Darkness mode. And it's essentially it was the big tier, and it offered a bunch of bonuses, a bigger stash, a bigger container that you can carry into your raids with you, that anything you put in that container you can take out and it's safe even if you die and stuff like that. So it has clear, obviously, sort of pay to win bonuses, but it balanced the line. It was on that tightrope of kind of being okay, it's not too bad, for the people that was standard. And it had all the bonuses and stuff like that, but the main thing is it basically promised you the season pass. It promised you all future DLCs within it. It's an expensive tier, definitely, but this is the next level. And they've obviously come out with a big trailer, offering way more pay to win kind of extra bonuses, bigger pockets, which means nothing to someone like you who doesn't play the game, but that is a really key factor in kind of what you can take into raid, whether you take more magazines and stuff and all that stuff. And essentially what they've done by coming out with this Unheard edition, as they call it, is they've kind of truncated what the Edge of Darkness, because that's the most common tier that everyone has who's playing properly, right? Like that's kind of like you can obviously get along with the base level, but like ever since Edge of Darkness came out, it was kind of like this is kind of what you need. Yeah, this is where.
And how much is the Edge of Darkness?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's double the price of the standard video game.
Okay.
So imagine paying that, knowing you have the the best version that I could possibly buy. You've got in writing that you're going to get all the DLCs coming up, and then Battlestate come in and basically go, actually, no, we're going to make that redundant.
Well, this changes, because for me, as someone who has no idea what's going on, I thought the issue was that they wanted $250 for a part of the game. For me, I thought it was about an egregious price. But what you're telling me is, and we've seen this with other games, but with less high stakes on money, is where, oh, here's the season pass, you get everything, and then something comes out later and they go, well, that wasn't part of season pass 1. You don't actually get that. I remember the big one I can think of is there was the Halo Wars season 2 pass.
All right.
And the only thing you don't get in your Halo Wars season 2 pass that covers, or season pass that covers everything, was the one and only campaign expansion to the game.
Yes. Yeah.
They wanted you to pay for that. It was just ridiculous. So same kind of thing here.
Yeah, and the Edge of Darkness is like, I think it's definitely over £100. I think it's like €150, £150, $150, like sits around that. And they wanted you to like pay the upfront cost of like upgrading to that tier if you're already on Edge of Darkness and stuff. And they've since like dropped the price for, you know, the Edge of Darkness to upgrade. But it just kind of sucks, dude, because like the thing with like Tarkov is it's been a game that's been in beta for so long. I mean, they're only at like 0.17 or some shit, right? I can't remember exactly because it's been a while since I played it, but it's not even at 1.0 right now, and it's still in early access. And it kind of feels like the way this feels is, for a while they've been kind of like, it seems feature creep is set in many ways, and they're pumping it into the game consistently, and they're constantly going, right, well, we need more guns, we need more weapons, we need more maps, more bosses in the level and stuff, and this is all good, but we're not kind of progressing in a healthy way, kind of like Star Citizen is.
I was about to say Star Citizen.
Yeah, to that 1.0. So then when you couple that with what's come into this, with the what's it called again? The Unheard Edition, it's kind of like you're taking the piss here, and it kind of... It sounds like what they're doing is hiding behind that early access to build tiers into the way the monetary... Just
milk it for money, and it's not even released.
And it's been on record that like Nikita, the director and the studio, they want to move on. You know, they would like to move on to like a more co-op campaign sort of single player experience, or just a completely different game entirely. But because they've kind of got this ball and chain in many ways to Tarkov, and because like how like expensive it has been, and also how profitable it's been, they kind of feel like they can't move on in many ways. And I feel like this is just kind of delaying that in many ways. They are single-handedly putting themselves into a corner, and like the entire community is essentially boycotting it. You have creators such as like Pestily, who's a big creator in the Tarkov scene, that is just like, I can't believe they're doing this. And they've been very outspoken against Battlestate in this. And it's crazy, dude. It's crazy because, you know, people put a lot of trust in Battlestate. They're a Russian developer, so, you know, class action lawsuits are kind of like rocky when it comes to like how much responsibility they can take in these situations. And it almost feels like in the terms of service, you can't even properly get a refund. You never have been able to when it comes to Escape from Tarkov. So you couple all these things together, and you start to get like a kind of a weird dichotomy of various factors that just feel like the end sort of supporter, such as myself, is kind of getting shafted.
Yeah. So. It kind of feels like it's kind of like the old sentiment of like too much of a good thing, right? Like,
yeah,
we're in this interesting time in gaming where games can be supported in many different ways. Early access, Kickstarter, GoFundMe type things like that. Then you have like Star Citizen that's been like what, $500 million, and it still hasn't released, and it's been out for I don't know. We're gonna be getting close to 10 years on Star Citizen, and it's one of those things where it's like, if your game doesn't see much success financially, you might not really own up to the promises you made. You might cut corners. You might not want to work on the project because you didn't get funded that much. But then the other extreme is you get funded so much, and you're willing to just take the money because people keep giving it to you. It's like, okay, well, if you do this, we'll add a gun. If you do this, we'll add a vehicle. If you do this, we'll add a campaign. And it gets to the point where it's like, okay, you've promised years and years of video game development, and there's still people still giving you more money. So you're promising more, and it's a vicious cycle. And I think at some point it's probably just going to make the game worse. Like more money, endless money and time does not necessarily make a better game. I would say most, if not literally every single game that we value above all else is only because the people with the passion, the talent were able to make that product under the constraints of money and time.
Yeah.
That's how we got it. So it seems like with the Escape from Tarkov, like, I mean, I've heard nothing but love for this game from people for a while.
The craziest thing,
seems like they got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the craziest thing about Escape from Tarkov is like, even though it's got that early access like stamp on it, it's very much a complete game. Like
that's what I hate when it's like it's obvious it's complete. Come on.
Yeah, like it works incredibly well. Sure, there's bugs and problems with it, and like obviously there's not like a full vision there necessarily, depending on who you ask. But it's
Do you
so
think you could
polished,
justify
dude.
a $60 release now? Like would you pay if you never played the game? But is it worth $60 for what it is now?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
I mean, like,
well, there you go.
I've spent
All right, it doesn't even have to be
£150.
60 to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent £150.
Helldivers is 40.
Yeah. I've spent £150 on the EOD edition. What was the best version of the game, and spent 3,000 hours on it, and that tells you all you need to know. And in many ways, like, I don't feel so bad that this is happening to the game, because I've kind of dipped out of the game for a while just because I don't have the time to play it, because I kind of want to focus my time more on single player games and stuff. But it's one of those things where, like, if I bought this like the EOD edition, the one before the highest tier now, if I bought that say 2 weeks ago or a month ago or whatever before this was announced, I would be pissed. I would be very pissed, and I feel for the people that do that, because there will be people out there that are in that predicament.
Yeah, I understand where like time goes on with your game, and you're like, the team goes, I would like to add something big to this, but it's not really what we had envisioned when we sold a season pass prior that included quote unquote all of our content. But that's just the risk you gotta take there, because like if you're trying to, a lot of times you're having a bunch of extra money from someone early on. This season pass that covers everything, oftentimes it's probably at least $30, if not 40, 50, 60. Sometimes it's something like $100 for this extra pass. And if you're selling that early to people on the promise of you get all content, the very least you can do is make sure that promise is kept.
Yeah.
And if you decide you want to do extra stuff, you either need to give it to the people within that season pass, or it needs to be rolled into a different project entirely. I don't know.
Yeah, and like to kind of end this off in my thoughts, there's a game that's come out recently, or is like in a testing phase, called Grey Zone Warfare or something like that, right?
Okay.
It's kind of like a more expansive Tarkov in the sense that it kind of combines armor with Tarkov, with the vehicles and stuff like that, and kind of like has more of an open world style to it, and it's so detailed. It's that detailed, like, and it's that intensive on people's systems that it's crashing. It's like bricking people's systems. Yeah. It's a gorgeous video game. And I mean, just the fact that that's come out, that's a direct competitor in many ways to Tarkov at this point, because it's got that looting side of it, that extraction style. And you've got a lot of Tarkov mainstream streamers going over and being like, I want to let's try this out, because Tarkov's kind of in this weird little predicament, and I don't really want to get involved with the controversy. It's not looking good for Tarkov in terms of like that long-term standing reputation that they've kind of done a very good job up until this point of like being a pretty standout, developer.
Well, do you think that making this free for owners of the edition already, or is that going to turn it around, or is that not good enough?
I don't know, because like it's kind of like once you sully your product or sully your company, like people will always remember that you tried to pull a fast
They got
one.
an eyebrow raise now.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Like, how else are you going to try to screw us?
Yeah. And I think there's no greater time now than when, like, for gamers being like based on principles than now. Like, people are so, like, with Suicide Squad and stuff, people are just not, like,
we're not standing for it.
People are not taking no shit anymore. Like, and yeah, so
absolutely. Okay, all right. Well, moving on. On a more happy note, Helldivers 2 now the 7th highest grossing game in Sony history in the U.S. Without PC, it wouldn't even be in the top 20. So there's been a lot of conversation this year, primarily because of Microsoft, about how, like, oh, the way of the exclusive is going away and dying. And like, while we've said before, like, I think that's very clear that Microsoft is saying that because they're kind of sucking at it, and it fits their narrative. The truth is, yeah, I mean, Sony games are going to PC, Xbox games are on PC. They're finding life on people with their Steam Decks and things like that, and cloud and different services and stuff like that. So it is happening, and I think Helldivers 2 is a great example of what a huge success Helldivers 2 is, because it launched on PC and PlayStation day and date.
Yep.
It's very apparent that this game would be nowhere near as popular if it was currently only on PlayStation. So this is from Matt Piscatella. PC has been a huge part of the success of Helldivers 2 in the US. With PC, Helldivers 2 is already the 7th highest grossing Sony published game in history.
Damn.
Without PC, it wouldn't currently rank among the top 20. Says somebody, Daniel Ahmad had commented on this and said, sounds like the personal computer gaming thing might take off. And Matt Piscatella says, PC used to be for the olds, now consoles are. How the turns table.
Oh, Michael Scott,
which I think is pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Helldivers 2 is a sequel to a 9-year-old top-down twin-stick shooter.
Yep.
That wasn't that popular, and it is now the 7th highest grossing Sony published game in history.
Well done.
You know, that's going to put it alongside things like Uncharted, Last of Us, Spider-Man, God
Horizon.
of War.
Yeah.
Which is insane, which is just insane. And without PC, it wouldn't be anywhere near there. So it gets to this point where, like, if we get rid of our early, like, growing up with the console warring tribalism,
yep.
Like, if Sony publishes a game that sells amazing under their name and their brand on PC, does it matter? Like, because it used to be like, my PlayStation exclusives, like, this should be on my PlayStation only. I don't want it to come to PC. Why? Like, why would we want that? Like, Sony's making way more money. The game's way more successful. And it's cross-play. Mm-hmm. You can play with more people. I mean, it's just a win-win-win-win-win for everyone. Like, what is the negative here? And I think it's going to definitely make Sony look at how they launch games in the future that they plan to bring to PC. Like, do we want to do this day and date? If it's multiplayer, I would think you have to now. Yeah. Like, how could you not?
Yeah.
If it's multiplayer, campaign, single player, like, okay, maybe there's a conversation for how they could, like, keep it off PC and then a year later reignite the conversation. But I don't know. What do you think, Joe? I know I kind of covered all the great points. I kind of stole them all, but what do you have to say?
No, I think it's great. I think it's amazing for Arrowhead that, is a small studio in all the ways. And they are, like you said, even if you just release it on PlayStation or PC, but the fact that they've combined it is mind-blowing, because the success is like double, triple, quadruple.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just will inevitably breed more support for the game going forward as a live service title, and hopefully like more games in the future. One thing I will say is, like, we like to compare this, for whatever reason, we like to compare this to Halo Infinite in terms of the Steam player numbers, just because, like, it's kind of a juxtaposition in many ways. But there was a lot of people saying when Halo Infinite was dwindling on player count, even not somewhat out the door, but a couple weeks in, people were saying it's not that big of a deal. And that, like, what about the Xbox numbers? What about the fact that it's high up on the Xbox, like, store sales?
It's reflective, though,
and it's like, dude, like, I'm not being funny, but, like, this kind of this in many ways completely disproves that point, because, like, if it was more about, like, the established sort of market share, which is, like, obviously where the people that are, like, obviously PlayStation centric will obviously be on PlayStation. But this is the power of the PC. And the thing with PC, right, is Steam is a very, very, very libertarian, like, store system. It is like the Wild West out there. Wild West out there for, like, the good and the bad reasons in many ways, Mm-hmm. And this just proves how powerful of a system and a platform Steam is, and also just PC in general, because word of mouth sells, dude. And this is just great to see. I love it.
See, you're 100% right, and what's sad, I don't want to fixate on this because it's not really the topic, but, like, Halo Infinite was day and date Steam PC release. What it was with Halo Infinite is, like, they made a live service game, but it was the absolute worst at being live service. Like, live service is what it did the worst, and that's what they marketed the game as, where you look at Helldivers 2, and the game is constantly has this ongoing, like, meta narrative with, like, the kind of like the D&D master who's behind it all, and like different things are happening in the game and ways to keep people engaged. Where with Halo Infinite, for as well built as it was and as fun as it was, it's like, okay, we've tried out the modes, we've tried out the maps. What's left? Yeah.
And I just think the natural design of what Helldivers is with that RNG world and stuff like that, and just like the randomized events when it comes to, like, just how it's weird, because, like, even just like the way different enemies spawn based on the varying difficulties and stuff is just enough to keep it fresh. There's something really special in that source that I haven't quite like figured out what it is, but it just, like you said, it's very different in terms of, because Helldivers is a very simple game. Helldivers 2 is a very simple game on the surface.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy going on about it in many ways. It's very much Deep Rock Galactic, just turned up to 11. But like you said, you compare it to like Halo Infinite's way of like live servicing and stuff. And I'm not saying like Halo Infinite has to be some crazy like RNG multiplayer mode thing going on. I'm not saying that.
No, but it has to be more than what it was.
But there needs to be something there in the source, like Helldivers has, that makes it sort of perpetually change and keep itself fresh. And it just didn't.
Yeah, and what I've heard from many different content creators is like Helldivers 2, like it is obviously doing the same thing every time, but like the way things just kind of play out, especially with your team, just always makes it feel like it's like you're crafting your own new story each time.
100%. There's like some role playing elements in there and stuff. It's great. But yeah, I'm so happy for it.
Two other news topics. We'll make these really quick because they're not that well. They're important, but they're not as big. This popped up. I was at work and I got really excited. So one of my favorite games of all time, top 10, is Arkham Asylum. I love the Arkham series.
Yeah.
And I'm at work and I see on YouTube, my notification goes off and it says Batman Arkham Shadow trailer reaction. And I immediately get out my phone and I start looking at all the websites. I'm like, Arkham Shadow, like I'm not sure that's a great name, but another Arkham game, holy shit, we can finally come back from Suicide Squad, the mess of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And as soon as I find it, it's a freaking MetaQuest 3 exclusive bullshit. And I'm like, are you shitting me? After Suicide Squad, the absolute waste of time trash fest that was Suicide Squad, no one wants to play. And what everyone would have liked is another Arkham game at the very least. Oh, here's an Arkham game. It's a MetaQuest 3 exclusive. Gotham City is in danger, and you're the only one who can save it. Batman Arkham Shadow coming late 2024, only on MetaQuest 3. I don't give a single shit. I didn't even watch the trailer. I don't care at all.
Now,
and do you think will anybody care about this?
No, dude.
What do companies not understand? Like, what do they not see that we do? No one gives a shit about an Arkham game exclusive to MetaQuest 3.
I think it's just like, I don't think it's necessarily like them not reading the room when it comes to like gauging fan expectations. I think what it is them having timing windows within certain periods and having to double down on those release windows. This was clearly set up to come out now, simple as, because no one expected this to come out or anything like that. It's just kind of dropped as a teaser trailer, whatever. These all line up with like their schedules and stuff, and it just happens to line up straight after Suicide Squad. So it's already in like a negative fan area.
Obviously they're not really like related. You're right. Like I didn't make that clear. They're not related, but it's just like it's like a 1-2 punch of like, man, a lot of us had some criticisms with Arkham Knight, but it's like, holy shit, we did not know how good we had it. Arkham Knight's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, because the way they do it is like, it's like Suicide Squad's getting developed, and they're like, yeah, that'll hit. We'll do well with this, and it'll be a great live service game. This is what they're thinking in the boardrooms, right? And then like immediately after, it's like, oh yeah, and then we'll couple that with like the Arkham Shadow VR game, and that'll be cool for like that little niche. That's all they're thinking. They're not thinking this is gonna be like a big thing. But then when it hits us, the problem is we've had all that like stinky ass in our mouth. You know what I'm saying? From Suicide Squad. So yeah, dude, this, and I also think the trailer's weird, dude. It's like it follows a rat through the alleyways, and then like Batman kind of lands on like near the rat, and then like smoke bombs himself away, and it's like, what's that got to do with Batman? Like, is it Ratman? Man. Is it Ratman?
I don't know, man. All right, we'll move on from that one. Over to much better news. Fallout, the TV show, commands record streaming audience for Amazon. Already more than 65 million viewers, second most watched title ever on Prime Video. The series, which was already renewed for a second season, debuted 16 days ago and has since lassoed more than 65 million viewers, making it the second most watched title ever in that time frame on Prime Video, according to the streamer. Through 16 days, it's also the most watched title on the platform since The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So I said this to Josh on the Sacred Icon show. Mm-hmm. If you had told me 5 years ago that there would be a Lord of the Rings show coming to Amazon and a Fallout show coming to Amazon, and the one that was clearly the better of the two was Fallout, I would have been like, no. No way. A video game adaptation. But I think the only reason, and this is all just like me just speculating, I think the only reason Fallout didn't touch the Rings of Power is because, I don't know if you remember this, Joe, but Amazon marketed the Rings of Power hard. They marketed the Rings of Power so hard. All of our Amazon packages for a month came in packaging that was shaped like a Middle Earth treasure chest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it was
over in the UK. We don't
big.
get that shit. We just get those like brown parcels. We're not that cool.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it was, but it was like, yeah, there was a very focused effort there with Rings of Power, and it was a big deal, and there was a lot of hype for it. But yeah, so obviously Fallout is it's huge everywhere. Everywhere I go, I mean, I could be at work, it could be at the grocery store, be at church. Somebody is like, "Have you seen Fallout?" And it's like, man, it's like people don't even care about the game. They didn't even play the game. They love the show. The show's so good, Joe. Are you still sitting at 6 episodes?
I am, because I watch it with my dad, and I don't see my dad out that often. You see, so like next time,
this weekend, maybe. Okay.
Wait a minute. Probably not this weekend because I'm probably camping, but like so sometime soon.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, great news for Fallout. We both love the show, and I can only imagine Joe's gonna like it more once he finishes it. So
yeah, I mean, like, I think this is great, dude. I think this is great for like movie adaptations and film adaptations. Obviously, kind of like The Last of Us and like Detective Pikachu and stuff have been, and those are great stuff. But yeah, I think we're starting to see like kind of the fruits of I would say like creatives understanding. I mean, I say that, but then we've had The Witcher, but like creatives actually genuinely understanding what like makes video games universes so incredible, and like the importance of like sticking to that source material, sticking to kind of what makes those special in many ways. And they nailed it with the Fallout show. It's a great fucking series, and yeah.
So and further, this will be our final topic that kind of ties into that, and this will probably take us a little bit more time than our prior articles because there's a lot here. But Bethesda, what a turnaround they've had, right? So they came out with Starfield last year, and it was, like we've said prior, it was met with good reviews and people being very excited, but it very quickly became like, here's all of Starfield's problems. I don't like Starfield. Starfield's not as good as the past. And by the time the end of the year came around, it was not nominated for any awards. Well, it was nominated for Best RPG, but it was very much like consolation because there were several contenders in there that was like, okay, well, Starfield's not going to win that. It's just to fill a slot. Like it was not up for Game of the Year or anything like that. So it was like Bethesda kind of went out that year on a little bit of a whimper. But this week, they're talking about the huge numbers for the Fallout show. They're talking about the 5 million people in a freaking day that were playing all the Fallout games and buying them again. Todd Howard said later this year, the Shattered Space DLC for Starfield is coming out. And then today, which we knew it was coming, but it kind of felt like out of nowhere, it was like huge update patch for Starfield. Yeah. And there's a big long list here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, we both have it pulled up. I'm going to be picky and choosy on what I say. And Joe, if I miss something or you feel like something needs more clarified, you call me out on it. But here we go. Starfield's latest update is here, and it's bringing several new features with it. Improved surface map. So if you guys remember, if you played Starfield, or even if you haven't, the when you landed on a planet, your map was basically nothing. Yeah. It was like a holographic grid that represented a patch of existence.
Yes.
It was horrible.
It was bad.
So they said, we've heard your feedback, and we've made some big improvements to surface maps, so you'll always know just where to go and no longer get lost on the way to your parents' place. And they weren't buying that excuse anyways. You should really go visit them. So yeah, you guys you can get a perk in the game where you can have visit your parents. But so there's going to be proper maps in the game. Awesome. New gameplay options. For those of you who like a bit of extra challenge or want to make some aspects of the game easier, you can customize your experience with brand new options in the settings menu. Want to make ground combat harder but ship combat easier? You can do just that. I might look into that because I remember there's sometimes where the ship combat was just stupid hard for me for some reason. I was like, this is annoying. I can see myself turning that down.
Yeah, it has weird scaling with that, I noticed. Yeah,
it does. Added ship decoration mode for the interior of ships. You can decorate the interior of your ships. Added tabs to container menus to make managing your inventory easier. Added the ability to change traits and appearance after entering the Unity. That you'd have to play the game to know what that is exactly. It's kind of a spoiler. Added dialogue camera toggle in the settings. So if you don't want to have it zoom in on people's faces, you don't have to do that
anymore. That'd be me. Yep.
Added display settings for Xbox Series X to prioritize visuals or performance. We're going to get into that here in a second. That's pretty cool. And going into it, it says Xbox Series X display settings. We've heard from many that you'd like to have control over the graphic fidelity and performance on Xbox, similar to how PC players can customize their experience. We're now enabling that on the Xbox Series X with a few options that you can use to find the best fit for your playstyle and display. For each of these, we highly recommend a variable refresh rate display running at 120 Hz. And to verify your Xbox is set up to use it. Oh, okay, that was the end of this. That was the end of the sentence. Make sure your Xbox can use it. If you have it set up this way, Starfield will now default to a frame rate target of 40 while keeping the priority for full visuals. So there's a couple different options here. Frame rate target. You can now choose between 30 frames, 40 frames, or 60 frames, or an uncapped frame rate on VRR displays. If you do not have a VRR display running at 120 hertz, you will be able to select from 30 or 60. Screen tearing may occur at times when selecting 60 on a non-VRR display. You can now choose to prioritize between visuals and performance while trying to maintain the frame rate target. If you're choosing a frame rate target of 60 or above, we recommend changing this to performance. So it's a little more in depth than your standard options, which is cool. But basically, this is what we come to know is your performance and your quality mode. You can run in 60 now, which for me, that was like, I mean, Starfield would be, I would love to play this in 60. Like I played through the whole game in 30. Did you play it in 60 on PC? Joe?
Probably like 144 or something, yeah.
Okay. Just like a big dick Joe over here. Okay. Well, I was playing with 30 with little dips into 28, 29, you know.
Yeah,
so this is cool for me on Xbox Series X. Bug fixes, general stability improvements, general improvements for character fleeing, avoidance, and pathfinding, fix various issues with object placement. There is a just laundry list of gameplay and graphical improvements, things to outposts, to quests. There's a lot there. And honestly, I think it would be boring and uninteresting to you all to read all this because it's a huge, huge list. But
it's
basically
better.
the game as a whole has had tons of quality of life. It's going to look better. It's going to run better. You're going to have less bugs. You're going to be able to decorate your ship and have more, container tabs and change the gameplay scaling a bit and have actual maps. So just overall, the quality of life for Starfield has improved, I would say, quite a bit here. I would say that, is this going to change Starfield into the game that a lot of us were hoping for it to be? No. It's still Starfield, but it's Starfield that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I think that with continued additions, hopefully with the DLC, which I heard that Todd called it an expansion. So that kind of makes it sound like it's beefier. It'd be cool if it was like at the level of like a Shivering Isles or something like that.
Yeah.
And if we could just find a way to get some of the like loading to planets and menu stuff, that could be smoothed out some way. And I'm looking forward to it. I think Bethesda's committed to Starfield. They've said as much, and
that's cool.
It'll be interesting to see if they really just what I would like to picture is that this year is kind of used to get Starfield in a good place, put out the expansion. Hopefully that's the one and only expansion. And they're already into Elder Scrolls development, and they just dive even deeper into that, and we can get Elder Scrolls hopefully in less than half a decade.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, Joe, any final thoughts on Starfield update here?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, the only thing that bothers me just personally, and it's not the fault of the developers, aside from get it in at launch, guys, come on. But it's the fact that I probably won't go back to experience these nice quality of life features. And like when I was playing the game, I got like halfway through my playthrough, the vanilla mode, the vanilla portion of the game, and like I literally was like, I gotta mod this because I can't deal with all these like clunky menus and lack of like good developed UI and a UX design and stuff, and it just felt weird. Like I took a lot of the animations out of the game when it came to like docking and stuff, because it was like by the 50th time I was like, I can't do this anymore. But yeah, obviously there was no mod for the surface maps at the time, but it's stuff that's needed, dude, because those surface maps were trash. Straight up, like they weren't telling you anything.
Might as well not even be a map.
Might as well not have been a feature in the game at that point. And I like the fact that you can like scale the gameplay options. Like that kind of reminds me of like what Sniper Elite does with the game, where you can you can specialize certain things like enemy damage and then like accuracy in terms of like how sort of realistic scopes are in terms of like not showing you where you need to shoot exactly and stuff like that, which is really dope. And I like the fact that it's not all like the Oblivion zoom in on the face anymore. You can choose between that. That's fucking really, really cool. But yeah, just overall, this seems like a really positive thing, mainly for the Xbox guys, which they needed the help more than the PC guys. And one thing I will say is, because this is improving the base vanilla game and kind of addressing some of the issues that like modders were kind of sort of jerry-rigging in at the start of the game, sort of release window, I think that this potentially, I mean, we was talking about like why Starfield is kind of not getting the mod support as opposed to like Skyrim in a previous episode of Sacred Games Daily, but I think this is a good start of potentially repairing that trust with modders and allowing modders to go, okay, well, they're actually like, they're trying to like make this like a sort of game we can sort of make a platform out of, like we have Skyrim, and let's see how we can kind of keep building this together. And I hope that that's the case. It might not be the case, but I hope modders kind of come out the woodwork for this game. And if they do, like, you know, your idea with the whole like wanting improvements to the way you kind of travel around space and the planets and stuff, you could end up seeing mods. I mean, you don't play on PC, but you could end up seeing mods that, you know, have like littered things all on planets and more activities and life, you know, like planets full of life and overhauls and you name it, you know. So
you know, I know this probably sounds like a huge ask, and I'm guessing it's not possible with their engine, because if it was, they'd probably do it. But like, it sounds like a huge ask. But I think after playing games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Spider-Man 2 that have really quick, seamless loading with SSDs, it doesn't seem as crazy to ask. But like for me, one thing that would drastically improve Starfield for me, obviously the way the game is built, you're never going to be able to travel from planet to planet with your ship. Like, that's not how the game's built. But if you could make it so that like when I'm in orbit and I want to land on a planet, if I could like click land on the planet and it just seamlessly go into the cutscene of me landing without loading, at least then it's like, okay, you made a design decision that I can't actually land my ship, but it doesn't feel so bad because it's not like a loading screen. It's like a seamless, you know, because like when I'm in Spider-Man 2, like I could be on the other end of the city, pull up the map, fast travel the other side, and I'm immediately swinging over there.
Yeah.
With no loading.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, I would love to see something like that with Starfield that makes the world feel a little less disconnected. That's all I really have to say, but I just thought this was funny because this is so emblematic of what Bethesda is. I went to the very bottom of this and it says,
what did it say?
It's 3 up from the very bottom, Joe. It says, left behind, NPCs will no longer talk about being attacked by wildlife on lifeless planets. That's such a Bethesda thing. I love it. You know, you're on this lifeless planet, nothing's there, and your NPC's like, oh, they won't leave me alone.
It's like, what are you talking about, dude?
There's nothing here. Like,
as they walk into the wall while staring at you sideways.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, are they giving you a quest while you're talking to the back of their head? So I love it though. Like so much of that stuff I do love about Bethesda, but it's also at the same time like get your shit together, you know. Yeah, so it's hilarious. But all right, that was a fun episode full of a lot of good news today. Kind of a great news day. It's been a little slow this week so far, so maybe we're over the hump here. I will never ever play Batman Arkham Shadow.
I mean,
but I am excited for the Starfield update. I'm a little different than you on the Starfield update, Joe. I don't plan to play Starfield again soon,
but you will.
But I am gonna play. I said I don't plan to, but I am gonna play Shattered Space right when it launches because I paid for it already. So I'll get all these benefits when I jump into it later this year.
What edition did you get then? And
if you buy the edition that lets you play 3 days early, then you get the DLC.
How much
included.
Is that?
I think it was $100 straight.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it better be a Shivering Isles kind of DLC.
An extra $30. Yeah, I mean, if it's a $20 or $30 expansion, you just look at it as like I paid for early access or I got early access free. But yeah, so later this year, it seems like probably about September this year, I'll be able to jump in to my character or the new DLC and get to experience all these benefits. So maybe I'll hop on today just to see what it looks like in 60 frames. And Joe's like, I've been there since the beginning on my big dick PC. But which I have the big dick PC, but I use it for Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Wow, yeah, so, it's like playing Minecraft on it. Yep,
that says it all. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Hang on, Brian. Hang on.
Oh, what do you got? A would you rather for me?
I've got a would you rather. I've actually written it down. It's quite in depth.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Option A: would you rather have a world where Xbox goes full retro proofing in their Game Pass and service, meaning they get no new games on the service? And it has a completely different priority, but you have what Xbox has now and potentially more in the way of banger exclusives on the level of Sony/Nintendo shit. Okay? That's option 1.
Okay.
Option B, Xbox's services are overhauled as something that sells their console like no end on the level of PlayStation's consoles. Okay? So they're neck and neck. But Xbox has even less emphasis on its exclusives than now, and it's practically given up on that front. It's the best place to play, but also becomes third-party completely centric.
Okay, for the third-party completely centric, are they still making their own games that were exclusive, or no? No, okay.
No.
And the second option B, you said they're toe-to-toe with Sony with software?
No, it's the console sales, dude. Like, it's a net positive for them.
Okay, well then what... Well, how in option B, how did they get there? How are they doing that?
I don't know, dude. Figure it out.
And then option A, you said there's no more new releases coming to Game Pass, or did I misunderstand that?
It's going full retro proof. So everything is backwards comp, but there is no like Jedi Survivor on that, like, you know, being paid for. There's none of these big third-party games coming on. So basically what I'm saying is option A is kind of like a more subjective Brian preference because you get all the exclusives and the Game Pass goes by the wayside. Yeah.
Oh, they get rid of Game Pass.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it's still there, but it's on the back. It's on the back.
Oh,
it's on the back burner.
Okay.
But option B is kind of like your more objective. Xbox is kind of back in the fight, but in a different way.
I honestly think I would choose B. Okay. Because A might be more fitting for Brian, but the industry is most exciting when they're really at each other's throats, right? Mm-hmm. Like when Sony's worried about Xbox, when Xbox is worried about Sony, like the way that it keeps getting better. I mean, it's just common like economics, right? Like if two companies are competing for the same space, they keep making it better for the consumer to get the leg up. Yeah. And it makes me think of like the Xbox 360, PS3 days, like when the 360 came out, and then a year later the PS3 came out. The PS3 was a joke to most people. Yeah. Way overpriced, no good games. The online service sucked. And then Xbox was getting like Gears of War, Halo 3, BioShock, Oblivion. And in one generation, that same generation, Xbox fell into their hubris, kind of just started coasting, played heavy into Kinect just because the Wii was popular. And obviously you could see how that killed them for the next gen too, because that Kinect they were chasing, the Wii success they were chasing, the 360, that's what they were chasing when they announced the Xbox One still. Yeah. So not reading the room properly. But in that one generation, 360 was like just annihilating PS3. And in that same generation, they got let their hubris get to them and they kind of coasted, did good, but coasted. And PS3 was like, all right, we are going to drop the most banger software possible on the PS3, and then we're going to be prepared for the PS4 so that it has even more banger software. And then when we get to the PS4, it's like this age of like, holy shit, this is like one of the best consoles ever. It's got all these amazing banger exclusives, like, you know, God of War, Horizon, Bloodborne, all this stuff. You know, it's amazing. So I want to see Xbox be
so that means again. No more Halo, no more Gears, no more Forza.
So they so in option B, they don't make them anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But do I have the ones that are older?
Yes.
Okay. I could probably do that.
You could do that?
Yeah. I mean, I want more Halo and Gears, but I don't know.
No Fable?
I think... I'm sticking with that answer, dude, because look at PlayStation, right? They're like, PS1, Spyro Crash. They let them go away. Ratchet, Jak and Daxter for PS2. The Sly Cooper. They let them go away. Infamous, Resistance, and Killzone. Well, it makes sense they let them go away. They weren't that successful. Yeah. But every console, Sony says, let's forge a new path with new successes. Yeah, let's see Xbox do that. Okay, yeah. We got enough Halos, we got enough Gears. It's fine.
There we go.
Fable hasn't meant shit in like over 10 years, anyways. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that was a would you rather that was inspired by Kyle, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Did he like literally send it to you, or?
Well, no, I kind of inspired. Okay. He kind of gave me a scenario. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Joe. I'm going to ask you a would you rather now that I'm thinking of on the spot. As I'm saying right now that I'm thinking of it on the spot, I don't know what it is yet, but it's about to come out of my mouth. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Would you go clean shaven and not cut your head hair? Because for those of you that aren't watching the video, Joe is pretty much bald with a big beard.
Yeah.
Would you be clean shaven and not cut your head hair for 10 years? So you're just gonna grow out. You're gonna have like freaking long hair down to your ass crack, pretty much. Yeah. But you get to be mocapped into Kojima's Fizzant game. You're in the game as a character. Not a main character, but a supporting character. You get to meet Kojima, fly out, just hang out in a studio, mocap.
All of these questions are always Kojima.
Yeah, but you got to go 10 years of clean shaven, and not cutting your hair.
So I've done the long hair.
Not for 10 years, probably.
Not for 10 years, but like when I was in college, I did down to my shoulders.
Okay.
It was horrible. And I was clean shaven. I think I could do it again. I think I'm taking Kojima. Fuck it, it'd be fun.
It'd be hilarious that if he makes you like the most little bitch character ever everyone hates.
He makes me a Chadley like character.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, like what's the name of Norman Reedus' character again?
Sam.
Hey Sam, I got places for you to go. Check your map. That'd be you.
I make deliveries.
I need you to step into the combat simulator.
Hey, fuck off, Joe.
Yeah. That's okay. All right. Yeah. When in doubt, throw Kojima in there with Joe.
I'll take it. I'll take it every time.
Awesome. I'm ready for your long hair arc.
That would
Kojima.
be horrible.
I would love to see you meet Kojima. I would think that'd be awesome. Do you think if you met Kojima, you'd be like cool and level headed, or your fangirl would come out a little bit?
I am fine. I'm not even gonna count fangirl. Like,
yeah, right,
dude. Like, it would be over. Like,
yeah,
like that dude. It's inspired me in my life so much, and like he's kind of been like he's made some of my most favorite characters, some of my most favorite narratives ever in video game in media history, and like I just respect his visions all the time, even if they're completely out there and up his own arse or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, he's great stuff, and Death Stranding basically like fucking saved me from, in many ways, like the depression I had in the COVID time. So,
Joe, we need to just like
it's big.
You and I need to go to like some kind of, I don't know, freaking California gaming event one year, and just I don't know, we'll just pay for the plane tickets and the hotel stays, and it'll be easy, it'll be simple, it'll be fun.
What's this got to do with Kojima? I mean, I'm down, but like,
because usually, I mean, all the big announcements in gaming, people end up in like Los Angeles and stuff. So.
Just try and find him.
Yeah, just try and find Kojima. Like, hey, this is my yeah. It's like, hey, can I? And then you just go up to Kojima and you're like, hey, I haven't cut my hair in a year. Can I be in your game? And he's like, get this creep ass away from me. What's this have to do with anything? So,
no, you probably.
All right, guys. All right. Well, that's another episode of Sacred Games Daily, guys. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. And as always, keep it sacred daily.
Peace.